Welcome to the crucible of riot, democracy, mutter, backstabbing and general goings-on all throughout the 18th century. Now, what important thing has happened today, which links us back a couple of hundred years to the event we're looking at? Bread's going up. Right, now think back and think of your rates bill. Your rates are calculated in quarters. What are those quarters? They're quarters of wheat. So rates were calculated quarters of wheat, rent were calculated in quarters of wheat. So if the bread price goes up, what you have to pay to your landlord, to people you owe money to, all your sort of official payments go up. So if you're poor, you can't afford to pay for your toast, you can't afford to pay your bread, and also you're paying more out to the rich people you owe money to. What day is tomorrow? It's Michaelmas. It's Michaelmas. It's one of the quarter days. So that is one of the things which actually, incites people to get out and, riot. I'm saying that perhaps most of the people who came storming in here to the court, asking for their rights, weren't necessarily concerned with the finer constitutional matters, or who was appointed by who, or who was passing the laws. They were mostly concerned by financial necessity. What was happening? Why was the price of wheat going up? It was going up because the wheat was being exported, because the rich were getting a better price abroad than they were in Jersey, but it also meant because there was a scarcity of wheat in Jersey, the income from their rents was going up because the quarters were worth more. The poor were having to pay more to the rich. The poor were being squeezed, and it wasn't the first time this had happened within living memory. It had also happened with the Sioux riots, when the states decided to change the value of money. Now, there'd been a discrepancy because we were still using French currency, and there were 4 sous to the liard, and the states changed it to make it 6 sous to the liard, which meant people's savings went down. People were losing money. The poor were losing money. And the big problem was the states were sitting in secret at the time. They'd made this decision behind closed doors. And the other problem was, that people were complaining about, was of course they passed laws in secret and people did not have access to the text of the laws. The laws were not published. The only people who really had access to the laws were the lawyers, the members of the royal court, and the laws were not published so that people could actually read them, check them, complain, make representations. There were all sorts of problems. The governor was a sinecure at the time, appointing a lieutenant governor to look after things. They were very weak. The bailiff was a sinecure. It was becoming a hereditary hand-me-down within the de Carteret family. The wealthy de Carterets were all off in Britain, making a name for themselves in court, occupying important government positions there. They appointed a lieutenant bailiff who really ran the whole show, and thought it was much better just to order things around rather than really consulting as you were supposed to. The situation between the royal court and the states hadn't been sorted out. That was one of the big things which came out of the riots here, was the Privy Council sent in a new lieutenant governor to draw up a code of laws, so that even if you didn't like the laws, at least you knew what they were, and that separated the royal court from the states of Jersey, and said really one lot should be interpreting the law and the other lot should be making the law. So that is a foundation of parliamentary democracy. Not perfect parliamentary democracy. Whether we'll ever achieve that's another matter, but it's certainly from the Sioux riots, and the states members might care to flee off to Elizabeth Castle next time anyone gets grumpy with them, as they tended to do in times of necessity in the 18th century. Another event at the time was that the Chamber of Commerce had just been founded. So an association had been set up to represent the mercantile interests in the island, and you had the Chamber of Commerce, the Royal Court, the states, all sending representations off to London, to the Privy Council, trying to get orders countermanded, laws changed, orders revoked. It was a bit of legislative chaos, and into that come flooding hundreds of people complaining that the bread price has gone up, their money isn't worth what it was, and out of all that, eventually, I don't know whether sanity occurred. You can make your own minds up on that, but certainly it's very complicated, and it is something which needs explaining, which needs learning about, and I recommend you all at least to have a dip into Boleyn's history or any other history book and at least learn a little bit more about Jersey's sometimes tumultuous, riotous and revolutionary history. Thank you very much.